Every time a new shooter drops, internet does something. They compare it to whatever they wish still existed, be it Titanfall, Halo, or Call of Duty. And then when games don't feel exactly like things they've been mourning for 5 fucking years, they leave a negative review and move on. This past weekend I actually sat down, booted up and joined my son on Empulse and played bloody thing for 3 hours. Not to compare it to something else, but to see what it actually is. And I've got thoughts. Direct you lot. So I was genuinely surprised. Marketing calls it a Black Ops 3 meets Titanfall hybrid. And yeah, I can see where they're pulling those comparisons from, but I'm not interested in calling it next out. It's Empulse. Let it be its own thing, on its own terms. Movement feels right. You've got wall running, grappling, jetpack, sliding. Once you start chaining them together, it flows. Some players had already figured out grapple and jetpack combo. They were flying around map like bloody Superman. And honestly, with a bit of practice, it's not that hard to get to that level yourself. If I can do it one-handed on a controller, you can do it too. And that's key thing. Movement's accessible. You don't need 600 hours in Kovacs to feel competent. You just need to play. Mods are solid. You got your standard TBM, because of course you have. Upload, where you grab a ball and slam it into enemy base. Sort of like basketball with guns, and it's fun. Intel, where you grab ball and hold onto it till it resets. Control, which is one of my favourite mods in any shooter, and it delivered here. But one that got me was Capture Mech. It's Capture Flag, but with mechs. Yeah, it's as mental as it sounds, and it's most fun I've had in a mod in ages. Now, weapons, compressor is heavy AR, and it's one I stuck with for entire session. It's maxed out. Cost me only 12 levels per weapon right now. It don't take long, but it felt rewarding. Echo shotgun's a beast. One shot and you're done. Though range needs a tiny nerf. Not much, just a nudge. Percussion is an SMG with explosive rounds, which is exactly as stupid and fun as it sounds. And then there's Volta, which is an AR with homing rounds. Yeah, you can be shot around corners. And no, it's not a netcode issue. It's by design. Now, mechs, these are closer to Lost Planets mechs rather than Titanfalls. They spawn up map, you fight over them, and whoever grabs one gets a power spike. They're not personal call-ins tied to your performance. They're contested objectives. And that distinction matters because it keeps playing field level. Some people will disagree with that comparison, especially ones who remember those elite mechs from Lost Planet differently, but there's a parallel there, and it's a good one. Now, recommended specs for Empulse has for GTX 1060, Ryzen 5 1400 and 12 gigs of RAM. I'm on CachyOS, that's Arch-based Linux, same as SteamOS for uninitiated, running a Ryzen 9800 X3D, an RTX 3080 Ti and 32 gigs of RAM. So I'm only a smidgen of her, but I should be okay. I ran it on low settings with DLSS doing its thing, and you know what? It looked clean. I could see players clearly, environments were sharp, art direction carrots visuals without needing brute force shader nonsense. I capped frames at 230 because I said so, deal with it, and there was zero jitter, zero funkiness, just smooth, consistent gameplay from start to finish. I left a Steam review showing me specs, because next person browsing Empulse reviews who runs Linux needs to see that it works. Audio's sorted too. Individual sliders for everything. Music off, because obviously. Announcer on low. Sound effects set to where they need to be. Loud enough to hear what's happening. Not so loud your eardrums are begging for mercy. You'd be amazed how many studios still ship games in 2026 with audio options that amount to one master slider and a prayer. 1047 got that right from the start. Now, one thing that tripped me was UI, and not because it's clunky, because it's confusing. I were in practice arena trying to learn movement and dial in my sensitivity, and when I were ready to join my son, I couldn't figure out how to leave. My lad had to come over and show me. That's a problem. I shouldn't need a guide to navigate a menu. Nobody loads up a shooter and thinks about how pretty lobby looks. They just want to find the settings, pick a mode, get in a match, and get out again. And if your UI needs explaining, it's wrong. There's this stupid trend of studios going for sleek and minimalist over obvious and functional, and it's one of the most annoying things in modern gaming. At this rate, games will need a tutorial to launch a game, a guide to navigate menu, a video on how to exit properly, and then a tutorial explaining what a tutorial is. But UI is fixable, and it's not a complaint that should tank a review. Speaking of things that shouldn't tank a review, but probably will, monetisation. Now, Empulse has a system called HDD Drops. They're randomised cosmetic rewards, weapon skins ranging from rare to legendary, and they use cred, which is an in-game currency you earn by playing. No real money involved. Yet. And that's a word doing all heavy lifting, innit? Because infrastructure's clearly there. Rarity tiers, randomised drops, currency system. It's a lookbox skeleton waiting for a skin. Now, my position on this ain't changed and it won't. If it's cosmetic only, they can charge whatever they want. It's optional. Nobody's forcing you to buy a skin. If some muppet wants to spend 40 quid on a glowing weapon wrap, that's between them and their bank account. Don't affect gameplay. It's not pay to win. End of discussion. But I'm not naive about 1047's track record either. Splitgate 2 launched with bundles over 140 quid, 3 separate currencies, and an 80 quid skin bundle that kicked off a massive backlash. Ian Brute, CEO, blamed a former employee and said it slipped through cracks. I'm not going to judge. It may or may not be true, but it didn't affect me. But while Early Access Tag is keeping full monetisation at bay right now, and fair play to them for launching clean, trust has to be earned through actions over the next 12 months, not assumed based on promises. Plumbing's in place. Question is whether they turn taps on responsibly or flood house again. Now, negative reviews. I've been reading through them, and some of them are genuine feedback, fair enough, but a good chunk of them are from people who clearly walked in wanting to hate game. You got one saying it's a rush game with barely any content and naught to grind for. Their main complaint is that 1047 stopped working on Splitgate to make this. It's not a review, mate. It's a grudge with a thumbs down button. Then you got one saying it feels like other shooters out there, as if that's some kind of revelation. No shit, Sherlock. Every shooter has guns, just like every racing game has cars and every platformer has jumping. Genre defines mechanics. What separates a good un from a bad un is how those mechanics feel, and movement in Empulse feels good. It's not trying to be hardest or fastest or most technical, it's trying to be fun. And that brings me to something gaming space don't want to hear. Majority of gamers are casuals. There are more of them than anyone else combined. And we keep hearing from channels and commentators that casuals move on because they're like magpies chasing the next shiny thing. But that's a load of complete and utter fucking bollocks. Casuals leave because they can't play anymore. And here's why that actually happens. Content crowd comes in first, burns through everything there is to unlock in a fortnight, and leaves. Rest, who are just there for fun, are still there, still having fun, still learning. But now content crowd's gone, player pool shrinks, and only other people left in matchmaking at top 1 percentile who've played no else 24/7 for 6 months. Casuals start getting deleted before the feet hit ground, and that stops being fun pretty fucking fast. So they leave too. Then sweatlords complain that game's dead, completely oblivious to the fact that they were the reason everyone else left. You got 2 choices when you're designing a live service game. You either keep a massive stockpile of content ready to drip feed so content crowd stays engaged long enough for casuals to grow, or you keep skill ceiling at a level where everyone can enjoy the game regardless of how many hours they've sunk in. Now, most studios try both, and they cock it up. They drip feed content too slowly, and they let skill ceiling climb unchecked because nerfing out gets you crucified on Reddit by competitive minority. So they lose both groups and act surprised when numbers fall off a cliff 3 months later. Look at Titanfall 2. Brilliant game. But a near dead game. Because eventually only sweats were left. And everybody else uninstalled quietly because getting obliterated within 3 seconds of spawning ain't most people's idea of fun. 1047 has an opportunity here because Empulse is built differently. Movement's accessible without being dumbed down. Mechs are contested, not earned through performance. So best player don't just get rewarded with even more power. Paint system gives casual players tools that can swing a fate without requiring mechanical perfection. If they protect that philosophy through full release instead of caving to Discord warriors demanding a higher ceiling, might actually keep people who matter most at long-term health of this game. Ones who just want to log on after work, have a few rounds, not feel like they're being punished for having a life outside of gaming. So where does that leave Empulse? currently paid early access title. It's got solid movement, good weapon variety, smart mode design, clean performance even on Linux, and a monetisation model that's currently spotless but has all plumbing ready for a future of fuckery. UI needs work, player count is low because it's behind a paywall, and a chunk of negative reviews are from people who wanted it to be something it never really claimed to be. Well, apart from Titanfall inspiration in marketing. For what it is, right now, today, I'm giving it an 8.6 out of 10. It's not perfect, no game ever is, but it's doing right things in right places. And if 1047 can resist urge to repeat the past mistakes, this could genuinely stick around. Tell me your thoughts in comments. And if you like this video, YouTube says you'll like this and next. So go check that out, and I'll see you there, you magnificent.